Hi guys, let's talk about functions. A function is a block of code which performs a specific task. It only runs when it is called. You can pass data, known as parameters, into a function. A function can return data as a result. Python has built-in functions and methods. Let's run a function. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a list. A equals 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have our list. And then we type len, which is the length function. And we bring in the parameter a. And then run that. And we get 4. So it's telling us that there are 4 items within our list. So that's a default function. And some functions have to be imported. So let's try that. So from math import x. From math import square root. And then we'll run exponent 2, which is 2.71828 to the second power. Let's run that. So the answer is 7.389 with an extension. Very good. And then we'll run square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. Excellent. An easier way is to import the entire module. So what we're going to do is we're going to restart our kernel, clear the output, and then we're going to import math. Math exponent 5. Oh, mistyped. So, very good. So the answer is 148.41. And then we'll try math square root 9. And that's 3. Now, you can define your own function, so we'll try that. What you do is you write def for define, func b. So the name of our function is func b. And then we're going to describe what the function does. Print running func b. So notice that to call or invoke a function, we use the parentheses. If we didn't have the parentheses, it would simply refer to the function and not call it. So func b. So if we do this, it's saying I can see the function in main. It's func b. It is a function, but it's not actually running the function. So let's try this. Func b. So we're actually calling the function now. And it gives us the correct answer, running func b. So it called the function. Very good. We can also define functions that take parameters. So let's try that. Define func c a comma b. So our parameters are a comma b, and we want it to return a times b. And note that a and b can be any type. So this is called polymorphism, where we will look at that in another video, but we're going to run this now. Func C 5, 4. It's 20. Excellent. So what it's doing is it's feeding in 5 as A, it's feeding 4 as B, and then it's performing the action is returning A times B. So excellent. Now what would happen if we entered something that were not integers? So let's try that. So func C, we have the text B, string B, and we have an integer 4. So what do you think is going to happen when I run this? So what it's doing is it's acting on it, and it's accepting, for this particular operation, which is multiplying, it's accepting a string and the integer. So very good. Now let's try performing this function where we have a list. So func C is a list and then an integer. So what's going to happen here? It's actually going to multiply the list times the integer. So we have the list 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's try something else. Let's try this. So here we have func C, and it's a string times a string. So let's run this. So notice we receive an error. We're receiving the error because it cannot multiply two strings. Cannot multiply sequence by non-int of type string. Very good. Functions must always return something. If you don't specify a return value, it will automatically return the none. So let's try that. So we're going to define a function. So define function for a equals 2. So run that, and then res equals func 4 and then print res. So it's actually printing none because there was no return value. So it will always return something, so it returned none. So the def is a keyword. It's a piece of code that creates the function and assigns to it the variable name. And note that the function is defined when def is reached, but the code inside is not evaluated until the function is called. So let's try something. So here we have define function 10, function 20, define function 20, print hello, and then it's telling it to actually run function 10. So let's try it. So it's printing hello, and it's printing hello because, so it's defining function 10 as function 20, and then it's defining function 20, which is print hello, and then when you run function 10, it's actually accessing the function 20. But let's try a different variation on this. So define function 30 is function 40, and then it's telling it to call function 30, and then we're defining function 40, and what's going to happen, because it's already called function 30. So if you look at the error message, it's saying function 40 is not defined. So it's calling function 40 here, and it has no idea what function 40 is actually supposed to accomplish. So so we're receiving that error. So functions are sometimes defined, and sometimes we can actually create our own functions. It's something you need to be very, very familiar with. And thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for listening.